Welcome back to the BS Spooktober, 31 Days of Halloween. We are here with another movie review for you, but first, I am Steven.
I'm Brittany.
And we are the BS Review here reviewing Goosebumps for you. The second Goosebumps movie is coming to theaters soon, so we thought we'd go back and review the first one for you.
And I'm not gonna lie, as we're doing this Halloween franchise series, it was nice to take a break and watch like a fun kids movie. For those of you unfamiliar with this movie, this is based off the R.L. Stine classic books Goosebumps, where there is a plethora in that series. There's so many. I personally did not read the Goosebumps books growing up, so I don't have the nostalgia. Did you read any of them?
I read a lot of them, yeah.
So those are two different perspectives going into this one, but this film kind of encompasses all of them. We have our character Zach, played by Dylan Minnette, I think is how you pronounce it. So. He moves in next door to what ends up being R.L. Stine's house, and R.L. Stine has all of his original manuscripts tied up in his house, and shenanigans ensue from there.
When we first saw this movie, I was actually very pleasantly surprised by it.
Agreed.
Because my expectations were the lowest, and I can't even remember, did we see this one in theaters?
I don't remember.
I don't remember if we did, but either way, I was actually very pleasantly surprised with the amount of fun and heart in this movie, and the rewatch kind of secured that for me. It's a really fun, enjoyable story that I felt like was a pretty fresh take, considering they had so much source material. I thought it was a pretty novel way of bringing all of those characters and creatures to life on screen.
I was very surprised that they were able to balance so many stories, and like I said, I'm not familiar with the source material, but as someone who's not familiar with it, I didn't feel overly left out of things. They explained just enough or implied just enough that I felt like okay, and I felt like all the characters blended together well, and they made a very cohesive story with it. I was thoroughly impressed. So starting with our characters, we do have Zach, played by Dylan Minnette, and I think he was Dylan Minnette. He does great in pretty much everything he's in. He plays similar characters on a lot of things that he's in, but that's okay. I think he was great. I think he had a lot of heart. I think he comes across on camera well. I really had no complaints about his character or his acting.
I will say I think he does better in these roles. I feel like he's moved in his career towards like a lot of darker roles and choices.
I guess that's
He's
true.
been in a couple
Like,
horror movies. He's been in 13 Reasons Why, where he deals with a lot of darker content.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting move for him because I actually like him more in the whimsical, like funny, sarcastic role than I do in the more serious, dark, and angry role. I don't think it works as well for him. So I really enjoyed him in this movie. Then we also have Hannah, played by Odeya Rush, and I think she does a good job in this film too. I think overall everyone did a good job with their roles. I think she played a good companion to Zach's character and their adventures together. There's not a whole lot to say about her. She did a good job.
I think all the characters, like, they're not overly deep. They're not, this incredibly complex, well-written backstory character, but, like, they're great for what they are and what they were intended to be. You have to go into it with the perspective of this is a kid's film, but it's also enjoyable for adults, in my opinion, but it's not made for adults. And my personal favorite part of the movie is R.L. Stine, played by Jack Black. Jack Black just brings magic to movies in a way that no one else does, in my opinion. Like, he just is like that cherry on top that makes it great, and this is no different. I think that he was great in this. He also voices some of the monsters as well. I think those were great. They weren't very discernible from his like normal voice. I think they were pretty similar. That's my only complaint about that. It wasn't quite diversified enough.
But I think that works in the story.
It does,
because
yes.
all those characters come from his own voice. So it kind of makes sense that they sound kind of like him.
Yes. So, no complaints on Jack Black's part. I think he did well. I think he brings some fun and whimsy to the role, as he always does. There's also some fun School of Rock, like little small references in there and stuff, which was entertaining.
I think he just has such a good funny bone for these movies, and I think a lot of the reason why is he's willing to commit to being like ridiculous roles and can make it believable, whereas a lot of actors can't do that. When they're being ridiculous, you just feel that they know they don't fully embrace that. But I feel like Jack Black could do the stupidest things and he's like, I'm here and I'm with you.
I also feel like he has such a natural chemistry with almost every actor and actress he stars with on everything. I don't remember a film ever where I'm like, you didn't mesh well with that one, Jack Black. Like, he just like morphs and adapts. He's an actor. He does good with his acting skills. Story-wise, like I said earlier, I do feel like this was pretty well written for the huge source material it's pulling from. It has a nice twist at the end of it, which I remember the first time we watched this, I was surprised by. So, like, that's a nice little touch with a kids movie. And it's just, like I said earlier, you just don't look too deep into it. Don't be overly critical of it, like you're there for the fun ride. And it is what it is, and I think it was great for what it was.
Yeah, I think as a fun, like, spooky movie that's not really spooky, it's a good laugh and a fun watch and an easy watch. And like we said, it was a nice change in between all our Halloweens, and it remains one of like a surprise original movie that you don't see too often in Hollywood nowadays.
This is also Sony Animation's first live action film, which I thought was interesting, and I thought they did pretty well with it for it being a first of that nature for them.
So based on the trailers for Goosebumps 2, they're going to be like tying some things in with this first film, but the characters aren't returning. We're going to have new characters.
My concern with number 2 is that I think it's going to be a rehash of number 1 with a slightly different beginning, but the rest of it's going to be the same. That's my concern. I hope I'm wrong, but we'll see.
Yeah, especially because so far Jack Black is not in any of the trailers.
But he's listed on IMDb.
So we'll see. I'm wondering if he'll show up at some point in the film, but I'm hesitant about this one just because when you make a sequel that doesn't retain any of the original cast or things like that, it can sometimes end up really bad.
But it does have one of our favorite actors from It Part 1, Ben. I don't know his actual name, but he plays Ben in it. So similar roles for him. This is a little more fun.
So we'll find out. We'll see how it is.
That wraps up our thoughts on Goosebumps, the first original of this series. Please let us know what you thought down below of this film, or if you haven't seen it, have we convinced you to go watch it? Give us a thumbs up if you like this video. Please subscribe if you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, and join us on our 31 Days of Halloween. We have a lot more videos coming to you. If you want to see some of our previous videos we've done this month, you can check them out over there. Other than that, we'll see you guys next time. Bye!